Thank heaven that week 7 is over. Hacks to the max, Norman drops out, tons of bullshit, all that and more. Episode 7 of PokeCentre starts right now. Alrighty everyone, it is time to strap on your heavy duty boots because we gotta trudge through a lot of hazards and a little bit of bullshit in this episode of PokeCentre. This is episode 7. Welcome everyone again to the show. My name is Douglas Evans, joined as always by Calvin Roy. Calvin, how you doing?
I'm excited to be here despite some of the crazy stuff we gotta talk about, but yeah, we're ready to answer all questions.
Okay, well like you said, we got some stuff to talk about, so let's get right into it. Norman, we had a little bit of shenanigans with Norman over the weekend. Well, we've had shenanigans with Norman over the past few weeks here, but really things came to a head this last week. He was scheduled to face Zeb in week 7 of the tournament. The battle was played, not played, whatever the heck happened, but it was posted in the wrong means. It was posted in the group chat through Facebook Messenger when it should have been posted on the Facebook group page in the week 7 battle thread, which it was not posted. There was a lot of back and forth. Norman just didn't really seem to want to budge. So at the end of the day, what kind of happened? We hit, as we all know, the deadline is always Sunday. By midnight, you have to have your battle posted at that point for it to count. So it went down as not counting as the battle played. So Calvin, I'll throw you in a second here, but the result was they decided that Norman and Zeb would both take a loss with a 0 differential. How did you and the fellow members of the admin group come to that decision?
Well, coming to a decision like this, it was kind of trying to figure out, because we knew the results of the game, but we had to, deal a penalty that was fair, but wasn't unfair at the same time. So, like what I mean by that is we didn't want to just give Zeb the win, because he did actually lose the match. So, just to make it as a simple across the table penalty for Norman, and also to keep it so Zeb, we recognize his loss. We gave both players a loss with 0 differential. The differential we didn't need to give +6s or anything up or down because we wanted this to just be 2 losses. Zeb, you lost, and Norman, you didn't take the 30 seconds to post on the battle post. So simple as that.
Well, in his defense, he is a busy guy. But anyway, though, moving on from that, I kind of want to throw some props to Zeb. Zeb could have claimed the battle wasn't played. He could have claimed that he won or whatever, but he was like super honest throughout the whole thing. He said that he had lost, and I think, yeah, keeping it at 0 differentials is kind of fair for everyone and just moving forward. Not that the differential doesn't make sense on or really affect Norman's side of things, but it doesn't completely trash Zeb's game either, so it's kind of good to see from that perspective. Along with things that happened with Norman, he eventually ended up not really communicating too much in the group chat when you guys were trying to coerce him into posting his battle and doing things right. He ended up leaving the group chat, which he had done previously. This time it looks like it's been for good. So when we needed a replacement for someone to take his spot to play his last 4 weeks of matches, and Leo, who is a champ, has offered to step in and take his place and finish off his last 4 weeks of play. So kind of how did that come to be, Calvin?
Well, as you said, Norman left the group chat, and at that point, the admin team, we kind of just decided then and there that Norman's been a problem since even before the tournament began. I always do a thing with players who pledge to play. I like to, message them privately and ask them, hey, did you read the rules? You understand the commitment? And I got a lot of, it wasn't until like the week of the draft where he replied just a singular yes. It's like, okay, do you actually understand the rules? I didn't think it was really clearly said yes or no, but He clearly had a pretty poor attitude throughout the whole thing. He didn't really, seem to want to improve or be competitive. And then just his attitude near the end of, really shitting on the draft and the tournament, kind of all the players that are enjoying playing it, and us as like the content creators trying to enrich the tournament. He's really just kind of shitting on all of that. So we just found that it's too toxic of a player to keep here. It's not like we were losing somebody who's like really good and really has something to offer to the group. So it was just a nice clean removal. I was actually really surprised by the support. We've had instances in the past where we've had players drop, and it's really difficult to find people to replace them. But this time, I was overwhelmed with the amount of support from people like Ross and Chris, willing to go find suggestions. Even you, Douglas, you said you'd be willing to step in and play.
Yeah, I was willing to dust off my old notebook and see if I could try my hand, but maybe it's better off for all the players left that I don't do that at this point in time.
Yeah, we'll let the champ wait till a later day to make his comeback.
Exactly, that's right.
But no, it's really cool seeing Leo come in. This is actually, funny enough, this is supposed to be his hiatus tournament. First tournament he's missed out since his induction in our group. But he seemed pretty willing to want to get back into the swing of things, and I think he's going to have a lot of fun in these last 4 weeks, and should be some really fun games to watch out for.
Yeah, I think that's it. There's not too much that Leo can do in terms of standings. Like we know, like Norman was pretty much he was as low as you could get in terms of standings and differential in this tournament thus far. But yeah, like you said, it'll just be fun to see how what he can do with the team in the last 4 weeks, and just have some fun, good matches, and hopefully give the other players a bit of a run for their money and make them earn those wins or losses or whatever ends up happening. Just want to let everyone know too that we do have a nice little segment coming up later towards the end of the show. We will have a featured highlight video, a flashback, a bit of a just showing some of Norman's best moments in this tournament and in this season 7 of the NCPL. So you don't want to miss that later on. But let's get back to business here, and let's talk about trades. You want to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alrighty, so we had, again, another week with a lot of trades. So we'll start things off. Simon, he made his third and final trade of the season, and he traded a Tier 5 Sea King for Savali Fighting. What's your thoughts, Calvin?
Well, his team's really water weak, and seeing him lose the Sea King isn't super surprising, because it's not like Sea King was really offering him really anything. But the thing is, he does need another water resist, and I think he could have traded something else to kind of patch that up with maybe like a grass type or something. But I do like the Savali Fighting. It's an offensive Pokemon that could maybe help, break through other teams, and just like every other Savali, it has a vast move pool, great coverage, pivoting options, setup options. So, I think it's a positive, but like it could have been better. But hey, it's week 7, or we're going into week 8 here, so we'll see what he makes of it.
Sure. Keeping things in the Shield division, Zeb made 2 trades. We'll start off with this first one here. He traded his Tier 4 Glycopod for Durant. Break it down for me.
Well, both of these trades seem to be him trying to shift a little bit of focus. He wanted to get some more speed on his team, I think. So losing Glycopod and getting Durant meant that he is now holding on to a Pokemon with base 109 speed, and it's got the bug steel typing, which is pretty good stab. Durant, as someone who's used this thing in the past, can be really good, but it can also let you down pretty bad with that hustle ability. So as long as he can, pick his matches out and see if hustle's actually worth bringing to his games or not, that'll be the test of how he can team build.
Sure, and like I said, Zeb made 2 trades this week, so and this second trade is actually also his third and final trade. He has no trades left to make, and he traded a Tier 5 Probopass for a Floatzel. What do you think?
Yeah, Probopass for Floatzel was a interesting trade. Obviously, losing out on the Glycopod. I think he wanted another water offensive Pokemon. Floatzel's as bare bone as and basic as you can get. You know, it's got the standard water coverage moves with some fighting and dark coverage. So it's pretty underwhelming in that aspect. But it's got the base 115 speed. It's got Aqua Jet, so it'll fit in on his team as far as speed wise. But losing out on Probopass means that his team's losing out on Stealth Rocks and a slow Volt Switch, which I thought was a pretty cool, unique aspect of his team. But we'll just have to see how it plays out for him. With the right prep, I think this could be a positive.
Sounds good. Now jumping over to the Sword Division, we'll start things off with Hayden. Hayden made 2 trades this week. His first trade, he traded a Tier 4 Mega Glalie for a Piloswine.
Yeah, this was a trade that should have been done like 5 weeks ago. As we've seen, Hayden's just been taking some really terrible losses against electric types, and it all came to fruition in his game, against Flo there, where he basically got destroyed by Arctozolt. So Piloswine coming in on this team finally means that he has a stop to electric types and ice types, with the thick fat on there. So that's really great. It'll give him another option for Stealth Rocks, some priority, just some great bulk. This, Mega Glalie was fun and all, but it was just doing nothing on his team. So I'm glad he finally made this trade. Huge positive.
Nice. And his second trade, he traded a Tier 4 Eldegoss for Magneton.
Wasn't expecting this one. I figured he'd keep the Eldegoss just to keep his Regenerator core. But honestly, it's hard to fit in on a team, right? Because it's so one-dimensional with his move pool, and it just halts all momentum. And he's got enough Pokemon that halt momentum. Having something so passive do that as well can really be taken advantage of. So having Magneton on this team is pretty cool because it's going to help him, trap steel types, and just, Magneton is just a very powerful Pokemon with, regardless if it's running Choice Scarf, Choice Specs, with Analytic, or if he decides to get creative. I think it's a really cool Pokemon, and I think it just rounds out his team really well.
Nice. And our final trade of the week, Calvin, you yourself made your second trade of this season so far. You traded a Tier 5 Rhydon for one of my favorites, Marowak. Tell me about it. Why'd you do it?
Well, I really wanted to bring Rhydon to a bunch of games, but it really came down to the fact that, having the rock and ground type is really great offensively, but my team's is a little bit more defensive, right? Like a lot of tank Pokemon. It's a lot of hard switches. It's just really difficult to get use out of it when I'm typically going into all my matches and my Pokemon are always going to be faster and they could just run coverage moves for me. And just having 2 very easily exploitable 4x weaknesses, 1 to grass, 1 to water, is really difficult to get past. I'd love to bring Swords Dance, Stealth Rocks and such, but it's just never going to happen without, running the risk of just easily getting one shot. Now, Marowak, I lose out on that rock typing, which I don't like, but, it's a very powerful Pokemon with Thick Club, doubling my attack stat, still get Stealth Rocks, to get moves like, get all the elemental punches, Bonemerang, which will go through, break any Focus Sashes, knock off. It's got a lot of cool stuff. Its bulks, it's a lot bulkier than you might think it would be. So to some, I think it's not that great of a Pokemon, but I've used this Pokemon a lot in lower tiers. I'm quite comfortable with it, and I think I can get some good mileage out of it.
Nice. That sounds good. That's all the trades for this week. One thing to keep in mind is that with this now being week 8, it's like the trade deadline is coming up. Week 10 will be the final week of trades. So that's 2 weeks from now. We've had the past 2 weeks have been very busy for players making trades, and I'm sure Next week and the final week, the week after, will also be just as busy as players really try to improve those teams as we head closer and closer to the playoffs, and you really want to make sure you secure a spot in those playoffs. So one thing to keep in mind as we head closer and closer to that. Next week, Calvin and I will do a bit of a preview, talking about maybe some teams that should look into making trades as we head into that final week before the last week of trades there. But enough talk about trades, enough talk about Norman. Let's get into some highlights. Kicking things off this week in the Sword Division, our first match, it's going to be Paul going up against Vikram.
I can see, I don't know if Paul's trying anymore or not, but he seems to be bringing a lot of the same sets each week, and it really didn't get him much in terms of progress in this match. Comfy would set up and destroy half his team, but it seems like he'd get really lucky here.
Yeah, he got the Paralyze there. The Gigalith's going to come in. Electrifire is going to hit him with the Brick Break. He's going to get a crit on the Gigalith. The Gigalith's going to miss the Rock Blast, as you see. Electrifire is actually going to send this thing packing. Paul really had some luck on his side during this part of the match. The luck wouldn't last for too long, though, because eventually Vikram's going to pull the horseshoe out of Paul's ass and beat him over the head with it.
That's right. And it's going to be Stalin that's going to be doing the beating. After taking out the Electrify, it'll set up a sub on Shuckle. It's going to howl a bunch. It's going to get the +6, and it's just going to collect the victory here. So, very good prep for Vic. I think Paul really has to start trying some new stuff. I think he's becoming too predictable, and well, it's obviously showing since Vic was able to take advantage of everything Paul had for him.
Let's keep things going. My God, it's Blade taking on Matthew.
If you want to see an in-depth analysis of this game, go check out Matthew Heater's video posted in the group. But just for a glance over, glad to see that he brought the trade suggestion Masquerade to this one. However, not sure how wise it was to switch it into Toxcroak like that, but was able to get a sticky web up after a strategic dodge, so that worked out. But not really, because he's down to just the Golurk here, and Heater's still got 5 Pokemon. Heater had a real strong command of this match, but seems like the tide may be turning.
Yeah, Golurk's on a roll here. This Milk Tank ain't got nothing. It's damaged goods. Get out of here, Milk Tank. Your time has come. Let's go, Blade. Keep it going, buddy.
Well, unfortunately, he's not going to be able to keep it going, because this Mess Spray
Damn it!
with no item is going to be able to wall the Poltergeist, and Levitate's going to wall the Earthquake. Yeah, that's it for Golurk. Sorry, Blade. You're going to have to sharpen your skills if you want to get past an opponent like Matthew Heater.
Please, don't make comments like that about Blade. It's ridiculous. Let's keep things going here. It's Florian taking on Hayden.
And while if this lead isn't representative of Hayden's problems, look, you don't have anything to switch into electric Pokemon. It's week 7, this problem's still not being addressed. And let's look at this Glalie here. Big explosion, but no payoff. I think that's a sign that maybe you need to trade off the Glalie and get yourself some type of Pokemon that can deal with electric types, because this is, what, the 3rd or 4th major loss he's taken, simply due to people just having Choice Banded, Choice Specs, or Choice Scarfed electric Pokemon, just annihilating this defensive core. A team that actually has a lot of potential, and a player who has lots of skill, but it's this problem that's dragging him down in the dirt.
A tough loss for Hayden this week, that's for sure. Keeping the red hot action going here. Up next, it's Joshua taking on Sean.
Beginning to see some improvement on Josh's game. Leading Goodra, Draco Meteor, turn 1. Turn 14, Sean's going to switch out to Venusaur. Boom, hit by Pursuit from Savali. That's a great way to get rid of a threat to your team. Now we're going to see Goodra coming out mid-game. This is how I like to see a Pokemon like this be played out. Look at that, taking the Dazzling Gleam like nothing, and absolutely destroying these walls. Honestly, after this, Sean's not going to have much to be able to take too many hits. So I think this is working really well for Josh's game plan. But unfortunately, on the opposite end, Josh didn't have anything to take hits from the Basculin. And as you can see at this point here, Sean's able to sack the Sableye, bring in the Basculin safely, and clean up with Choice Banded Aqua Jet. Very well endgame.
Yeah, he's trying to get every win that he can as we head into the final weeks of this tournament. And it's a tough win he got this week. Josh definitely didn't give it to him easily, but still Sean got the win at the end of the day to keep himself alive. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. It's Calvin against William up next. Take it away, Calvin.
Oh, what a great game we had here today. It was so great. Honestly, every turn was so fun and perfect. Like, William outplayed me every single turn. That Toxic, that mattered. Why was I going for Reflecting Screens? That doesn't make any sense. Honestly, William really have me on the ropes here. And in desperation, I'm going to the Bronzong. And look at that hacks. I did William dirty. What an asshole. Well, he's going to go for the well-timed body press. Get that crucial 11% off. Honestly, great play. And here comes the perfect boom. William gets the crit. He perfectly predicted and played for that, destroying that terrible Bronzong set of mine. At this point of the game, William's going to agility up, and thanks to that nice crit, he's able to just secure the 6-0. Or not the 6-0, the 4-0. You know what I mean. This Metagross just could go in and destroy my ill-equipped team, and give William the well-deserved win. So, yeah. I'm super happy about this one, folks.
Something you don't sound that happy. And our final match this week in the Sword Division, it's Connor West going up against Lewis. Connor West here is going to start off with the Jolteon. Wait, where is it? Oh, there it is. Was wearing its invisibility cloak for the first turn of this match.
Not sure if Connor was watching last season, but he must have been, because he took a note from Vic's book. He's going to bring Limber Ditto. Heck, who needs Imposter when you can manually transform yourself? Well, I'm going to have to disagree, because he could have dealt with this Blastoise quite easily. Connor West still finds his way around it thanks to Glisopod's first impression and just the insane bulk of Gastron, able to eat up that boosted Hidden Power Grass. But unfortunately, his team's too weakened to be able to deal with the Choice Scarf for Simeon. And, well, it's going to result in this, defeat. And Lewis not one to know when the game's actually over. He's going to put the pressure on, return to the battle timer on. Very strategically placed.
Now taking the action over to the Shield Division, our first match, it's Reggie going up against Robin.
One of our highly anticipated games for Week 7 here. Reggie versus Robin, big matchup. But it would be this turn here that would change the game and put it mostly into Robin's favor. Tinted Lens Yang Mega. I was waiting for this thing to show up. And just the ability to turn your non-effective moves into double the power was able to knock out that Steelix, giving Robin a pretty huge early lead in this match. And he still would bring some really fun sets like the special attacking for Alligator. I found it a little amusing that it still wasn't able to kill the Quagsire with Hidden Power Grass. But in the end, Reggie didn't quit. He kept fighting, which made this a 2 differential win for Robin. But in the end, Reggie goes down, and Robin cements himself as the number 2 seed.
Let's keep things going here. Next up, it's Chris and Simon going at it.
And starting things off, it actually seemed like Simon was doing pretty well with Chris. They were fairly even. But once this Blossom came out, well, things started turning bad. The main issue being that this Golbat did not have Toxic. Now, it had Super Fang, which is good at lowering its HP to 50, but the problem is this thing just keeps healing with Sap Sipper. So this Golbat was practically useless, since he just wasn't able to get any, good damage off on it with the Toxic.
And things aren't going to get any better for Simon here. He's going to bring in the Stoutland, but like you said, there's no Toxic, no chip damage on this Blossom, and it's not going to work. And unfortunately, the Stoutland's going to get taken behind the woodshed and put out of its misery in this match.
Yikes. Well, getting past that, so I'm going to pay homage to Dan in Season 6 with this Meteor Beam Recycled Bronzong on you in vain because Blossom's just, going crazy here with this Quiver Dance set. But still cool to see that he's bringing unique sets each week. But as you see here, yeah, Blossom just gets the sweep, honestly, instantly when it comes out. So, pretty good win for Chris.
Up next, it's Laurel up against Ross.
Alright, this is a very interesting match as far as strategic-wise goes. Because majority of the matchup in the early parts was the Quillfish versus the Florges and Laurel's predictions around it. Now, she had three options in most cases. She could go for a weak mid-ground of Waterfall, predict the Reggie still switch, like right here, and go for a Swords Dance, or predict the Florges stand and go for Poison Jab. 3 out of the 3 switch times the Florges was in, she clicked Waterfall. I think Laurel should have pulled the trigger and gone for the Poison Jab, but obviously at the end there, at the very least. And yeah, she just ended up losing the Quillfish with no gain. But, she's still in this battle. She's got the Hitmon lead, that rapid spinned up. Puts Ross in this position of having to go Passimian. But this actually works out better for Ross, because he's able to take out the Hitmonlee. It's a trade, fighting type for fighting type. But Laurel losing to Hitmonlee means she can no longer break Registeel and Florges effectively without a Dragon Dance on Aerodactyl, which she's forced to do here after the Florges is able to boost up thanks to Magmortar being paralyzed for 5 fucking turns. But she gets the boost. She's gonna go for the Stone Edge that always kills, and it's gonna miss. Oh, you hate to see it.
Yeah, there was a lot of things working against Laurel in this match. Like I said, lost to Quillfish, lost to Hitmonlee, the Magmortar is paralyzed, missing the Stone Edge. There's just like all signs point to Laurel was just not going to win this game. Maybe she could have prevented it early on, but it wasn't the case, and Ross picks up a big win this week with a +4 differential. Well, now it's Jared's chance to crack under the pressure as he takes on Jonas.
Well, I'll give it to Jared. He had a lot of creative sets, and I think it could have potentially worked out here. He has the Rain on the Mesprit, which is going to help the Basculin in this matchup. Early on, the Regirock's going to, attempt to set up on the Lantern, but, I don't know about that. He gets the burn right away and kind of screws it over. But as you see here, like I was talking about before, Mesprit gets a Rain Dance up, and with adaptability, this thing's set to destroy Jonas' team, but, and he hard switches it in, and instantly gets punished with an Air Slash crit. Yeah, very tough. Now, Jared would get a little revenge later, but as you can see, it's 2 versus 4. Jonas has just got complete control of this match at that point. I think Jared had great potential with the Basculin and the Jolteon, but that misfortune, and honestly, just the hard switch, I think it could have really just been simply prevented with a U-turn or Memento into Basculin. But, who knows, maybe in playoffs, Jared can have another crack at him.
Up next, it's Brian against Connor Peterson.
Despite some of the hacks that was in this game, this is a pretty fun match. Now, Victor Bell is just such a great Sun Sweeper. With Hidden Power Rock there, it's able to take out the Centiskorch in one shot. Now, it looks like it's set to just rip through Connor's team, but he's got the Focus Sash on the Toxicroak, and they're able to make a nice little trade here, which works out really well for Connor. But he's going to be able to receive an end to some pretty bad hacks. He's going to miss a couple head smashes, this one being the most important. Losing the Torkoal would have meant that Houndoom doesn't have sun-powered flamethrowers to fire off. As we'll see here, is just going to destroy Silvally Water, which... let me remind everyone, this is a resisted move, and it is just getting destroyed by Houndoom. This Pokemon is not to be underestimated in this draft. But, yeah, Tyrantrum would be the last one to go down, and Brian would secure the win.
It is that time of the week. It's time to take a look at the standings. And as we can see here, Sword Division had a bit of a shakeup. You know, Flo is now in first place, Matthew in second, Williams in third, and Calvin, I hope you're nowhere near that laundry basket of yours to chuck it across the room, but you are now in fourth place. What are your kind of thoughts on that as you take a look at that there?
Well, yeah, that was a pretty bad loss to take. I'd like to think that it was completely out of my hands, and other people might disagree with that, but regardless, it was a terrible loss to take that I don't think I should have taken, and I've been saying all season, these low differential wins are going to bite me in the ass, and one loss dropped me down from first all the way to fourth, and now I'm just barely holding on to playoffs. If I take another loss, like Vic is tied with me in differential. One more loss, I'm like completely out of playoffs. So very, very bad for me, but very good for everyone else, I guess.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because, like you said, you were talking about those low differential wins, and you know we kind of had talked about them in the last few weeks, and then you had a big win last week, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, you took a loss, and it really affected your game. You've dropped right down. So, you know, these next few weeks are pretty, like, you got to be able to keep pace, and you got to keep those wins coming in, because yeah, Vic is right on your tails here, and even Sean's creeping up as well. So you got to like stay on your A game here in these next few weeks. So pressure's on, buddy. Looking over on the Shield side of things, you know, yada yada yada. Yeah, Jonas is on top. Okay, and then we got Robbins in second place. He was able to defeat Reggie, who is now in third. So Reggie goes to 5-2. Jared's in that fourth place position at 4-3 with a +7 differential. Ross now though is now creeped up as well. He's in fifth place. He's got the same record as Jared with a differential of +3. So there's 4 is the number in the difference between those two players, and hopefully I'm sure Ross is really going to try to keep turning it around as he keeps stepping things up in the next few weeks here. But what do you think as you look at the Shield side?
Yeah, the Shield side's super cool because, like, obviously that fourth place is opened. Unlike Sword, where the top 4 spots are all tied with 6 wins, and they literally need to lose a match to drop out of playoffs. The Shield side's different. Jared, Ross, and Zeb can all win their matches, and it's going to be differential that decides that 4th spot. So if Jared wins all his matches, but starts only getting low differential wins, that's an easy point for Ross or Zeb to sneak right in there and snag that spot. It's just really cool, that dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, even looking at a player like Chris, I don't want him to give me an angry emoji or anything for talking about him, but he's got a losing record, but his differential is +4. So if he's able to rack up some wins, maybe he can even get himself in the mix in the last few weeks here as well.
Yeah, last season and even season 4, Chris always made playoffs. This would actually be the first season he's played in where he hasn't made playoffs. So who knows, maybe these last few weeks he's just going to, try his hardest and smash everybody in his sight, and maybe some of the people ahead of him are going to falter a bit, and he can sneak into that spot. Also, Laurel's not too far behind either. She's also not out of the picture. She can turn things around as well. She's got a lot of easier opponents in the last few weeks, so actually she could really turn things around as well and sneak into that spot.
Yeah, she could. She probably won't though, but she could. I don't want to take anything away from her. She could. She'll give it her best shot. You got this, champ. You got this. Looking ahead to next week though, let's start talking about some matches. A big match on the Sword Division side. It's number 2 seed Matthew going up against William. So like you said, they're both 6-1, very close in differential. You really have all the top 4 players are 6-1, 6-1. So it's really their place to lose, right? It's like if you lose, they're gonna drop just as you did last week. So really the pressure's on them. The records are impressive, the differentials are impressive, but a loss is gonna affect you. So a big match like this with Matthew and William is really gonna affect that. And Matthew just had that big match with you last week, so it's like he's really got pressure on him to want to win. He doesn't want to take another loss at this juncture in the tournament. What do you think?
I agree. This is actually one of the biggest matches on this side because, as you said, all Vikram needs to do is win, and I think as long as Vikram wins decently well, and one of the opponents loses significantly, then Vikram's in playoffs, and William or Matthew can potentially be out. So that's going to be really cool to see. And also, as long as, me and Flo both win our matches separately, which I didn't think there were too crazy of matches, we could see some shakeup. Vic can hop in while Matthew or William drop. It'll be really cool to see. And it'll just be a great match because it's two incredibly offensive players facing off against each other.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about. Just seeing, it's again, two heavyweights just going at it for the knockout blow. William's got that Metagross that he's been super dominant with in this tournament so far. And Matt with that Primarina as well has been on the brink of the kill leaderboard as well. So it's just two really dominant players. I think it's going to be fast and furious, and yeah, don't blink or you'll miss it.
Agreed. The next match that we're both really looking forward to is Jonas versus Robin. Now, these players actually were in a group together before joining the NCPL, and they're both top players of that said group, as we've seen in both, every single tournament they've done in ours, they've both done very well. This match specifically, though, I think Robin's going to want to get a little bit of revenge on Jonas. Last season, Jonas was able to beat Robin in the season, and he clean swept him in playoffs. So I think Robin might want to, beat him as far as getting some retribution and also just taking down the big dog. Being able to take down Jonas is something that everybody wants to do. So I think if Robin can do it as the number 2 seed, that'd be pretty great for his ego.
Yeah, absolutely. And it would be great for Jonas' ego too. Let's knock this guy down a peg. Undefeated, plus 30 differential. Everyone's just so intimidated. La-dee-da, Jonas. Come on, Robin. Step up. Don't be intimidated. Take it to Jonas. Take him out. Hand him that defeat. And let him know what's coming. Humble him a bit. I'm counting on you, Robin. Let's do it.
Agreed. I can't be the only one around here that can beat him. Anyways, moving on. Next match that we're really excited for is Jared versus Ross. Now, this might not seem like too crazy of a match for some people, but, let's look at the numbers here. These are two players. One is in 4th, one is in 5th, like we were saying before. This can be a playoff position change right here. If Jared takes his loss, boom, Ross can come in and take that position. Or if Jared wins, then he solidifies himself and Ross gets knocked down. So that it's cool in that aspect. But also just in the NCPL's history, this is a cool matchup. Look back a couple years, a couple seasons to the first budget draft tournament that we ever held in our group. Jared and Ross were both A-ranked players, the top of the group. And when these two players fought in the past, it was a match to watch out for because they are both highly skilled, highly competitive players. And, things have changed around here. The power scaling has changed a little bit, but you know what? The competitiveness has not. I think this is going to be a really great match between these two players, and I don't know. I'm personally really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me as well. I back in the day when I was playing, I was one of the original players of the group. Ross stepped in very early on in our very first season, and it's just always fun to see two players that have been around for a very long time, veterans of the NCPL, go at it in a high-stakes game like this. Like you said, really, if Ross wins, he gets himself in that 4th spot, and if Jared wins, then he's going to keep Ross out of that spot because Jared's obviously going to do everything he can in his power to hold on to that playoff position, and that's what makes this so interesting on top of everything else with us that have known these two players for as long as we have. Our last match that we really want to talk about here, also in the Shield Division. Shield Division is just so exciting these last few weeks. It's great to see because considering we were kind of poo-pooing on it in the first few weeks of the tournament here. But our last match that we want to talk about here is Zeb against Laurel. Again, you just touched on Laurel, she's kind of on the brink here. She really needs to get some wins if she wants any hopes of getting her way back into a playoff spot. And Zeb's in a spot that he can still kind of disrupt the Jared and Ross situation. He's still in the conversation. He's still hanging around, and so this is a big match for either of those players. What do you think?
Absolutely agree. I think this is going to be a close matchup. They're both very offensive teams. Zeb, I don't know if he made all these trades in preparation for this match, but it couldn't be a coincidence. I know Laurel's really going to be taking this one seriously. She's had some really tough matchups these last couple of weeks, facing players like Ross, Robin, Jonas. So she's going to be going at this one with guns ablazing. She can't keep taking these losses. She's got to make a turnaround, and I think this is going to be, the shakeup that she really needs. And, even for Zeb, hell, I'm happy either way this game goes, because Zeb, just his enthusiasm and him being a new player and coming in this tournament, guns ablazing, Laurel just giving it her best and being a veteran. I'm happy either way with this match.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We'll have to keep our eyes on it, and we'll have coverage of those matches and every match that takes place in Week 8 of the Commander Draft Tournament. But we're going to wrap things up for us here. Be sure to stick around for the Game of the Week. Game of the Week this week is from the Sword Division. It's Joshua against Sean. And like I said, thanks everyone for tuning in. Your Pokemon have been rested up, and we hope to see you soon.